Hello, everybody. Welcome. And we are continuing the book. Don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. Simple ways to keep the little things from taking over your life. Chapter 18. Allow yourself to be bored. For many of us, our lives are so filled with stimuli, not to mention responsibilities, that it's almost impossible for us to sit still and do nothing, much less relax, even for a few minutes. A friend of mine said to me, people are no longer human beings. We should be called human doings. I remember reading somewhere or listening to it somewhere where they said, you are a human being, not a human doing, which is true. And most of us will relate to that because we were raised in environments where there's no resting. And as I'm speaking, I'm remembering a time during my childhood, I think I've talked about this, where if the people around me saw me resting or saw me sitting down by myself, it triggers something in them. And I have heard a lot of people talk about it, that during their childhood, when they sit down by themselves, it's like their parents feel it's a waste of time to be sitting alone. They should be doing something. And I just find it very interesting that as children, we are not allowed to rest, be on our own, be alone. And then we grow up and we have to learn, go back to that, right? Let's move on. I was first exposed to the idea that occasional boredom can actually be good for me while studying with a therapist in Lacana, Washington, a tiny little town with very little to do. And as I'm reading this, I actually moved to a place where there's very little or nothing to do. And I love it. I love it. I'm at a point where I can be alone at home a whole week by myself, and I'm absolutely fine. After finishing our first day together, I asked my instructor, what is there to do around here at night? He responded by saying, what I would like you to do is allow yourself to be bored. Do nothing. This is part of our training. At first, I thought he was kidding. Why on earth would I choose to be bored? I asked. He went on to explain that if you allow yourself to be bored, even for an hour or less, and don't fight it, the feelings of boredom will be replaced with feelings of peace. And after a little practice, you will learn to relax. I mentioned this in the last chapter, right, when I was talking about life is not fair, that peace is boredom. And yes, peace is boredom. Our mind, or maybe we've been raised to believe that we are bored, but actually what is happening is we're peaceful, which is why many a time when you see someone who was in a toxic relationship, when they get into a healthy relationship, they get bored and they might leave the relationship. Or if we're used to toxicity, myself included, right? I've experienced that. Coming from a very toxic family, peaceful people were used to be boring to me. Not anymore. Because I've developed those healthy traits where, I don't need television. I don't have a TV. YouTube is my TV, and I'm mostly listening to lectures or meditation stuff. Recently, I have been very obsessed with the Kendrick and Drake beef, mostly on Kendrick's side, of course, listening to everything that has to do with Kendrick and going back to his catalog and listening to that. But apart from that, I don't do anything. I don't go anywhere. And I absolutely love it. I don't miss partying. I don't miss friends or family or any of that. Now, it would be great to have them around because we all need support. And where I am at now in my life, I need a lot of support. But apart from that, I'm okay being by myself, being bored. Much to my surprise, he was absolutely right. At first, I could barely stand it. I was so used to doing something every second that I really struggled to relax. But after a while, I got used to it and have long since learned to enjoy it. I am not talking about hours of idle time or laziness, but simply learning the art of relaxing, of just being rather than doing for a few minutes each day. There isn't a specific technique other than to consciously do nothing. Just sit still, perhaps. Look out the window and notice your thoughts and feelings. At first, you may get a little anxious, but each day it will get a little easier. The payback is tremendous. Like this morning, usually when I'm awake first thing in the morning, I would listen to meditation. The monastery that I usually talk about, which is the Zen Center of New York City, we're doing, say, 7 a.m. silent meditations and things like that. And today I just felt, I came downstairs in the basement where I usually work, sat down, and the quietness of the place just felt so good. And I just sat down, turned my computer on, light my candle, turn on the diffuser with peppermint, and just sat down for a few minutes, enjoyed the quietness. I didn't play any meditation music or any prayer today. Just to be in the silence and the quietness. And then the silent meditation started. And during the break, I got up and made some coffee, sat back down. It just felt so good to be in the quiet. Much of our anxiety and inner struggles stem from our busy, overreactive minds, always needing something to entertain them, something to focus on, and always wondering what's next. While we're eating dinner, we wonder what's for dessert. While eating dessert, we ponder what we should do afterward. After that evening, it's what should we do this weekend? After we've been out, we walk into the house and immediately turn on the television, pick up the phone, open a book, or start cleaning. It's almost as though we're frightened at the thought of not having something to do, even for a minute. I am from a family like that. My mother especially, she cannot, she talks about it, but she cannot just sit and do nothing. And I remember talking to her on the phone and telling her, can you just sit, let's talk, because you are making so much noise with the pots and the pans and the doors and this and that, and I can't hear what you're saying. And she's like, no, I can't just sit down and do nothing. She's very anxious. But she doesn't want anybody to tell her that she's anxious. She's fine. I'm fine. I'm okay. And then the pots are hitting each other. And I'm like, oh, it's a headache to talk on the phone like this. The beauty of doing nothing is that it teaches you to clear your mind and relax. It allows your mind the freedom to not know. For a brief period of time, just like your body, your mind needs an occasional break from its hectic routine. This is why whenever I talk about being overwhelmed, I always say that I structure my day and my schedule in a way that I don't overwhelm myself. It doesn't matter what it is, working, cleaning, doing other stuff, because I know how it feels to be overwhelmed. I used to overwork myself, drain myself, and there was a time when I didn't want to face myself. I didn't want to face the troubles that was going on in my mind. I thought I needed to do something to get rid of those, basically running away from myself, thinking that I would get away from all of those. But the moment I realized that, I actually had to confront whatever's going on with me, my mind, generational trauma, and all of that. And I started confronting myself and understanding these things. I stopped, completely just stopped overworking myself and overdoing things and people pleasing and all of those. Now, the moment I feel that it's pulling my soul, that's a fear. I don't know how to explain that. You could feel it the deeper you go. As soon as I feel it, I would just let go completely, just drop it. Is it easy? No. When you allow yourself to be bored, it takes an enormous amount of pressure off you to be performing and doing something every second of every day. Now, when either of my two children says to me, Daddy, I am bored, I respond by saying, great, be bored for a while. It's good for you. I tell that to my daughter as well. Once I say this, they always give up on the idea of me solving their problem. They probably never thought someone would actually suggest that you allow yourself to be bored. I guess there's a first time for everything. Absolutely true. It is true. Where I currently am, where I moved to, I was on Threads. Yes, I read it on Threads. I was on Threads and somebody was saying what people do around here, and someone else say it's so boring. And I replied to him and say, boredom is peace. And his response was wanting to unalive himself. And I responded to him later. I don't remember what I think something that goes along the lines, when you're okay with your own company, it doesn't feel like boredom anymore. And it's a powerful thing. Even in my own vocabulary, I have taken out the word being bored. I don't talk about boredom. I don't talk about being bored. I can be alone by myself and I am fine. Now, one thing that I haven't tried yet is, which I probably wouldn't mind trying in a good way. Yes, I'm at a point where I say things and they happen. So I'm saying this in a very good, nice way. Maybe go on a meditation retreat where we don't have to use our computers and our phones. I've been to one of those. That's next level. And I think that would be nice to do. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment, share, and we'll be continuing this podcast theme. I like it so far. Do you like it? Let me know in the comment section how you feel about it. And I have a few other books here. I read books. And if we like this, I can read more of the books that I have that are on these topics, of course. All right. I'll see you